On the night Let's Start Deduction closed out its 4th season, Zhang Linghe dropped into his own fan page for a short, unscheduled exchange. A fan asked, half joking, whether there was any risk in getting his attention. He answered in 5 words, "Risk and reward always go together." It read like a throwaway line. Fans laughed, screenshotted it, called him the fandom economist, and moved on to the next clip. Except that line didn't stay contained to one variety show finale. In a separate, unrelated campaign released around the same week, Tian Xiwei was demonstrating the same principle from a completely different angle, not with words, but with a television commercial that quietly gambled her entire public image on the idea that a little bit of risk pays off. Neither artist referenced the other. Neither project had anything to do with the other on paper. But placed side by side, they form something more interesting than 2 isolated news items, a pattern in how Chinese entertainment figures and their teams are currently using small, deliberate risks to move an image forward without staging a full rebrand. Start with what actually happened on the Let's Start Deduction finale. Zhang Linghe has spent multiple seasons building a specific kind of relationship with this show's audience, the cast member who treats the fan community less like an audience and more like a group chat he happens to be extremely famous in. So when he showed up that night to answer messages directly, it wasn't out of character. What was notable was the exchange itself. Asked if being noticed by him came with risk, he didn't deflect and he didn't perform humility. He gave the fan an answer that was economically literate, mildly self-aware, and funny enough to travel. Within minutes he was fielding more questions in the same rhythm, offered his golden key without hesitation, admitted plainly that he hadn't eaten yet, and closed the conversation with a line as blunt as the opening one, he had to go to work. None of that reads as scripted. That's precisely why it worked. But the risk he named wasn't hypothetical. Being singled out by a public figure, even briefly, exposes a fan's account to scrutiny, older posts get reread, comment sections fill with outside traffic, and a private inside joke becomes a public artifact overnight. Zhang Linghe wasn't being clever for the sake of it. He was naming, out loud, a cost that fans in his community already understood and rarely saw an idol acknowledge directly. That's the detail worth sitting with, because the same week, a very different kind of risk was being calculated in a boardroom rather than a live stream. It's also worth noting what he didn't do. He didn't ignore the question, and he didn't answer it with a generic "thank you for your support" line, the kind of safe, pre-approved phrasing that shows up after almost every fan live stream in this industry. Choosing to name the cost directly is itself a small risk. It draws attention to the uncomfortable side of visibility instead of pretending it doesn't exist. That it landed as charming rather than awkward says something about how much trust he's already built with this particular audience over multiple seasons of the same show. A newer face making the same joke might not have gotten the same reaction. Tian Xiwei became the face of RIO's Slightly Tipsy product line, and the commercial that came with it did something her prior work largely hadn't attempted. It built its entire message around restraint rather than sweetness. For short scenes carried the ad, the blurred edge of a new romantic feeling, handled without leaning into it, a mother's nagging met by listening halfway, drinking halfway, rather than pushback, a quiet toast to the sunset after a job interview that didn't go well, and, in the last beat, an umbrella left unopened so she could enjoy the rain instead of avoiding it. None of these moments were dramatic. That was the entire point. For an actress whose audience largely knows her through a sweeter, more conventionally cheerful image, choosing a campaign built on understatement is not a neutral decision. It's a bet. The brand's language for the product, slightly tipsy, not drunk, not sober, mirrors exactly the tonal risk Tian Xiwei is taking with her own image, not a hard reinvention, not a repeat of what audiences already expect, but something calibrated in between. Viewers responded to the commercial by pointing out how unforced she looked in front of the camera this time, how the performance read as relaxed rather than performed relaxed. That reaction is itself evidence of the risk paying off, an audience noticing a shift in register without being told to look for one. Brand endorsement campaigns generally carry their own version of this calculation, even when the public never sees it. A commercial built around a familiar, expected image is safer to greenlight and easier to test in advance, but it rarely changes what an audience believes an actress is capable of. A commercial built around restraint, silence, and an unglamorous rainy day moment is harder to approve internally because it depends on the actress carrying tone rather than plot. That RIO and Tian Xiwei's team chose the second version, in a campaign explicitly named after moderation rather than excess, points to a deliberate attempt to widen her range on record, not necessarily to abandon the sweeter image that built her fan base, but to prove a second register exists alongside it. So here is where Zhang Linghe's 5 words stop sounding like a punchline and start sounding like a working principle. On one side, a variety show personality directly naming the cost of visibility to the people who give it to him. On the other, an actress and a beverage brand jointly testing whether a subtler, less polished image can expand what audiences are willing to accept from her. Different mediums, different stakes, same underlying logic, neither side is trying to eliminate risk. Both are trying to price it correctly and spend it on purpose. This is worth being precise about, because it would be easy to overstate. One live stream answer and one advertising campaign do not prove that Chinese entertainment management runs on a unified playbook. What the evidence does support is narrower and, honestly, more useful, in a market where both idols and actors are under constant pressure to stay visible without becoming predictable. Small, contained risks are becoming a preferred tool. A brief, unscripted fan interaction is low cost and reversible. A 4-scene commercial built around restraint is a controlled experiment, not a rebrand. If it fails, the sweet girl image is still sitting there, untouched, ready to be leaned back on. Neither artist bet the whole image on a single move. That restraint is arguably the more interesting story than either individual moment. It also says something about how each side of the industry treats its audience differently. Zhang Linghe's version of risk-taking happens in real time, in public, with no safety net beyond his own reflexes. The entire exchange lasted 10 minutes and could not have been rehearsed. Tian Xiwei's version happens on a production timeline, shaped by a brand, a director, and an approval process, with every beat of Slightly Tipsy calculated in advance. One is spontaneous risk, the other is designed risk. Both, notably, landed as authentic to their respective audiences, which suggests the two approaches aren't competing strategies so much as two different tools for two different formats, live fan interaction versus branded content, each with its own tolerance for improvisation. None of this requires reading intention into either artist's private thinking, and it shouldn't. There's no way to know whether Zhang Linghe's answer was a genuine ad-lib or a well-practiced line he keeps ready for exactly this kind of moment, and there's no way to know how much creative input Tian Xiwei personally had in shaping the commercial's restrained tone. What's verifiable is the outcome. One line traveled because it was honest about a real cost, and one campaign traveled because it asked an audience to accept a version of an actress they hadn't seen packaged this way before. Which brings the story back to where it started. Risk and reward always go together wasn't really a joke about fandom economics. It was, almost by accident, the clearest one-sentence description available this week for how two very different corners of Chinese entertainment are currently operating: testing image, testing intimacy, testing how much an audience will follow before either side finds out where the limit actually is. If you're the kind of viewer who wants entertainment coverage that looks past the headline for the pattern underneath it, that's exactly what Rabbit News Hallyu is built for. Subscribe if you'd rather have analysis than just another recap.